Hello, Booktube. My name is Allison, and I've been working in this community for a pretty long time. I just recently started liking and commenting on various videos of like channels that I've been really enjoying, and I've decided I've thought for a long time about doing this like my own booktube thing, and something about it makes me really nervous, but I'm embracing my vulnerability, Brene Brown style. So I'm going to start with the Booktube Newbie Tag just to get things started. So why did you start this channel? I've been loving Booktube. It's something really nice about. It's not face to face, I guess. It's face to screen, but it feels a little bit more personal, perhaps, than other social media book conversations. I'm a big user of Goodreads. I'm in a fabulous group on Goodreads that there's a number of people that are like really involved in the group, and we have really great discussions, and there have been meetups, but it's a Canada-wide group, and Canada is very wide, so it hasn't been feasible for me to just go to Toronto for a meetup. It's too far. And so as much as I love that group, and I totally love it, I want to try something different as well. And the focus in that Goodreads group is Canadian literature, which is, being Canadian is important to me, but I enjoy all literary fiction pretty much. Actually, I enjoy pretty like all genres. But my favorite would be literary fiction. And there's a good booktube literary fiction focus on literary prizes, big releases in this community. There's a good thing going on here, and so I've been enjoying that. So there's that. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I think it would be my Canadian spin. I follow most all the major book prizes, but I'm most in tune with the Canadian ones. So I know there are a few booktubers out there who, there are a bunch of Canadians, but I only know like a couple that are really into like literary fiction and book prizes and that kind of thing. So maybe I have something to add there. I don't know. What are you most excited for about this new channel? Well, that's going to be a couple of things. That's going to be new book friends. Can never have too many of those. And new books to add to the ever-growing, never-ending TBR pile. Why do you love reading? Okay. Well, there's a quote, which I'll read to you in 1 second, that really sums it up, I think. But why I love quotes is also why I love reading, because you find, even in the most outlandish fantasy fiction, sci-fi, what makes it good is those elements of like truth that are in there, and why we enjoy them is how we relate. It's all about how we relate to the characters and feel like we're living that situation. And the quote I love, and I haven't right on my Goodreads profile, and it's from the 13th Tale which I think most book lovers have read and enjoyed. Okay, so this isn't going to be a channel where I'm reading quotes all the time, but I'm going to read this one just because I love it so much. Like, when I first read it, I was like, yes, right? And so that's how it makes me feel. I have eavesdropped with impunity on the lives of people who do not exist. I have peeped shamelessly into hearts and bathroom closets. I have leaned over shoulders to follow the movements of quills as they write love letters, wills, and confessions. I have watched as lovers love, murderers murder, and children play their make-believe. Prisons and brothels have opened their doors to me. Galleons and camel trains have transported me across sea and sand. Centuries and continents have fallen away at my bidding. I have spied on the misdeeds of the mighty and witnessed the nobility of the meek. I have bent so low over sleepers in their beds that they might have felt my breath on their faces. I have seen their dreams. And like, that's what it feels like when you're reading fiction, and sometimes, and like nonfiction too, when people, like memoirs, when you really get intimate with, you feel a connection with their life. Okay, that's all. I'm going to stop there. Like that question, why do you love reading? Like, how long do you want this video to be? What book or series got you into reading? I don't know. There's been so many. I do have this recollection. Like, I've always been a reader. And I do recall that my mother had an old copy of, she had a number of classics that she had, I think, when she was in university, that sat on our shelf at home. And at some point I picked up Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and I've actually reread that book since, and I don't love it as much now, but I was young enough in my teens that I don't think I understood it enough to dislike it as much as I do now. But that was the book that I think I really understood how good classic literature could be, and that, like, there's something to a good book that never dies. It just keeps going. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? What are you reading? How do you like it? What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think sticking with it and posting regularly. I can't make any promises about posting regularly. If I can get in the vibe and eventually, like, do Friday reads type thing or what have you, I will do that, but I don't want it to become a chore. When did you start reading? I honestly don't remember a time when I didn't read. There have been times in my life, I guess, when reading sort of went more to the back burner. You know, my university years, I don't work. I should add that I'm not a teacher. I don't work in publishing or the book world or anything. And a lot of booktubers seem to be one of those. But so when I was in university, my course load did not involve literature. So that was a time when I didn't do much reading. And then probably, like, first when I had my kids and they were really small and life was crazy, I didn't do as much reading then either. But other than that, I've always been the person with a book. Where do you read? I'd love to say that I read in this room with my books in it, but I don't. This is my office. My desk is over here. When I work from home, I work here. I don't really read here. And I'll talk more about this room probably in another video. But my books are here. But where I read is, well, let's just talk about a couple of different formats. So I discovered audiobooks. I'm trying to think how long I've been doing. I have a bit of a drive to get to work and then home again in the evening. And maybe, I was going to say 5 years ago, but I think more than that. I have to look when I actually joined Audible. Check that out. But so I love audiobooks for the drive. Just the best. Just the best to keep me alert when I'm feeling tired. It's just, and it's like my downtime too. It gives me a little bit of time to relax in the morning before I get to the office. Gives me a little bit of time to relax in the evening before I get home. And I have to do homework with the kids and all that kind of stuff. And then my reading, I usually, so this time of the year, my husband is watching hockey in the evenings. And so usually the kids go to bed. We're in the living room. He's watching hockey. I'm reading. Then I go to bed and I read some more. That's my reading. The summertime's a little different because there's no hockey. Talk about that later. What kind of books do you like to read? I like a lot of books. Like a lot of different genres. But my main focus is usually literary fiction. And as I, over the course of the year on Goodreads, if I'll mark something as a favorite if I really, really liked it. And when I go back and I look at the books that I've had that wow feeling about, they generally always fall in two categories. Well, first, they're usually literary fiction. Secondly, they're usually either gothic fiction or historical fiction, hands down. But I like nonfiction, but I'm never as compelled to read it. So I challenge myself to read some nonfiction, and I'll probably talk about that in another video when I talk about my yearly goals and challenges. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to stop now. Anyway, thank you for listening to my Booktube Newbie Tag, and I will be putting up more videos. I will be talking about anything and everything, but I will also make sure to have some Canadian content. Okay, bye.